And you're paying, right?
Picture yourself locked in a jewel cell with a pistol energetic as a jewel cell, pure strength. Would you face fate or try and escape that sea? The shallow depth of death never reject, no eject, so I consider staying hard like erect. There's no melody in hell, so I only made a deal with the devil, we never test hands. He says demons to pickpocket me and blew me naked like incense. So my journey was quite harsh like explicit content. I read books with no index, just old fingers thrust in packings and packs with Mr. Please, I need sense. What's AIDS if it is in a more than 1 8? See how I had to calculate to figure out these labs make viruses perpetrate. Deficiency of vital vitamins in systems initiate cannibals in men. So I took one bite and then ate them. So I got punished by an angel God sent every night from then. So I made a decision then. My commitment would be to a street girl who's got shit locked down like that. Cause see, once you marry virgins, heavens might take a look at Virgin Mary, Vermin's belly, let you escape uncut, but maybe I'd already been traveling with the plague already stuck on my belly. They say it's better to look young when you're old than old when you're young, so I took my time, but I fell in the garden angels meeting discussing which kind to protect next, cause the men can't collapse with the subsequent time. See, they cut and make cleansing ceremonies on crime scenes where blood spills and heart bleeds. Well, it might be the faith I lost when I tried to break free. The artifacts of these coherent prophets blew my third eye life breath and had it open at the same time, blinding it to this false fact. They said, take heed of the devil's traps, you a man. And after all, it's always been about man. See, man and women, man and we, man. Science, mathematics, subject activations, thoughts, explosions, preparations of infections of bionic germs germinating within your epidermis. Up in the midst where the atmosphere is the actual sphere in the quiet sanctum amplified with woofers and substances of delight. You lose hope, then what's near is fear militant between plates of guillotines. It's all a major misconception, disconnection of nature's perfections, perceptions, nations penetrating cerebellums of these politicians. Those are magicians. Stand before the mirror and check out their audience. Depravity camouflaged with benevolence and pravity. I probably seek for solace in the slow pace of demolishing democracy. What's hope when fate's incarcerated by gods of Greek mythology? That no matter how much you try to see the picture, you just gotta study photography. That no matter how you're naked, it's just pornography. See, Egyptian mummies aborted babies so they multiply in population. While Moses bowed before those flames, so God must have been on trees and chose heaven to stay. Have faith and pray time. Whisper the Pope, hope, don't let loose. Don't lose, just let loose. Now the apocalypse will lift the earth in smoke anyway. So pass me another plant, oh and lose. If his Fiso gave birth to the stars you wish upon, if his Fiso gave birth to a sin, then why are the stars you wish upon close to heaven? It's all contradictions. If you're all misunderstanding, then what is there to hope for? So much. I'm Topaz. Topaz. Yeah, there's many names behind that. Topaz, the nemesis, the astrophysics lyricist, the street poet. Yeah, I do all of that, from freestyles to freestyle battles to slam poetry and whatnot. Yeah, I'm a writer basically, to put all of that in one. I started writing, it was 2001, but then my love for hip hop came through before then. I started at school. Actually, yeah, I started out as a poet. But then at that time I didn't know what I was doing, you know what I mean? I just write, I just have these crazy thoughts and then I just write. But then by the time I got to that standard, I got to realize that now I got myself into freestyling, and that was in 2003 when I started freestyling. So I think it all just came together like that there, from the poetry side and from the rap side. So for me it was all just, I'm a writer. I prefer using abstract because what I'm trying to project my thoughts on is the people that is to the people that I want to listen, you know what I mean? I want all the people to listen here, but then looking at the places that I usually go to perform, I taught myself to be abstract about stuff, it gives you a chance to think about it, and it gives you a chance to want to hear about it next time or hear the piece itself. What I always say is life, there's no truth, it's just reality, you know what I mean? So if story is the metaphor of life, when a story can, it's like you know, the caricature of what reality is already produced, you know what I mean? So it's like sending out a message but via a story, because even though it can be like a true life story, but on a story within on that exaggeration type point. So I really agree with that. When you look at the way we live in and the things that we do, you know what I mean? You set to set a standard for yourself and be like, okay, this is how I'm gonna live. And when you tend to look back at that person's life, you know, the way that everything happened from point A up to the last part, or when he's died, or up to the part where he's still living at the very present, you know what I mean? So you can, like, looking at from the story perspective of it, you know, it is metaphorical in a way when you take a closer look. I really agree with that.
Yeah.
I really agree with that.
It searches for soft skin, soft hips and lips. She has to be short and light so they can eclipse. As she walks away, her hips sway as music notes. So he takes notes, opens his eyes and takes a glimpse. His mind attacked by a world of fantasy. It's her he now sees, naked and at ease. So let's tease. He pours wine on her belly and begins to sip. He does it again and makes it 3 sips. Oops. He's now sunk in 3 ships, and then listens to her heart sing as it begins to sink along with his sperm cells that her vagina has now sipped. I love you, whispered in her ear the morning after. Pills have her vomiting, a new life lost, but she is still waiting. Her legs now close as his eyes as he walks away and never to walk back her way. But love to her was carried in her heart, now cracked. Red covers her body totally, now back to roses and red. Now she said this line 4 times before, and her heart can take no more. And so her tears splatter, reflecting her unspoken images. He was meant to be tall and dark so they could eclipse. He was meant to walk away boldly as she takes a glimpse and it blows him a kiss. Her mind attacked by a world of fantasy. He was meant to call her his queen bee and she respond with honey. It's funny how love works. They say that a man will never understand a woman will never understand a man. So the story of love written by both the sexes shall never form part of the same paragraph, rather written on separate pages or back to back as Kappa, the brand that faded before its ages. You see, love never changes. It's the mind that cages the truth and sets free fantasy to dance around for all to see. Now fantasy, like HIV, never tires. It can dance through midnight hours, floating glamorously on glass slippers. But true love differs. It breaks the sweat and melts as mascara. It only becomes clearer to those who've walked to the altar in white gowns awaited by a tuxedo. You see, love is harder to find than Nemo, but to others, love is magic.
Did it last week, didn't
Oh no, it's done.
East side of Columbus.
My goodness. Well, I think we'll get a little action now.
My name is Sandisiwe Sinetlatla Dlamini from the Chipston. Okay, I started writing when I was 11. I was 10, turning 11, that's when I wrote my first poem. Even remember the day that my sister's a poet, right? She's 5 years older than me. She was writing that day, and I was on the case. So she wanted to shut me up on me, and the she's like, so I was like, okay, let me write a poem, and I wrote something. And ever since then I've been writing.
Can you remember what the poem was?
Yeah.
Yeah?
It's something like, her eyes shone like the moon, her lips were blood red, her hair silkier than silk. When she smiled, her whole face lightened up, and when she spoke, it was hard not to listen. The way her voice flowed into a rhythm, she is beautiful. Yeah.
windows to her soul. Raindrops rolled down through the windows to her soul until they formed little puddles at her feet. Her flight first came to her knees, her waist, her shoulders until she drowned in the misery of her own tears. Why can't someone reach out and wipe them away? Instead, they go unnoticed. She walks with a bounce, cool and steady with the sky frown in an eyebrow raised high, the sexy playboy look on her face. To some chicks, not such a wonderful date. She puts her hands in her pockets and winks. Some mistake those winks for innocent blinks, but no innocence. She has the skips to undress you with her eyes. Disappointments to her dad. Evil spirits invaded shot to her mom, but a brother to her brother, yet still a sister to her sister. She runs her hands over her neatly cut hair. She changes a frown into a sideways smile. The hair that had once been combed sideways and tied in ribbons had been a no as she grew up. Disappointments to her dad. Evil spirits invaded shout to her mom, but a brother to her brother, yet still a sister to her sister. See, she constantly thinks to herself, why can't I be accepted for me? Because behind the smile-filled frown, the bounce of the walk, and the sexy gestures lies hurt. Unnecessary hurts that can easily be taken away by love and acceptance, and not just love, but unconditional love. See, this is a thought that runs through her head all day. Some call it an illusion, most likely filled with confusion, but if it is what I am and what I begin, what difference does it make to the next human being? Just accept me, you human being. That is a never-ending dream, and in a scream, in a stream of tears, a dream that has been battered and shattered, shattered and scattered, scattered and battered. A dream that has been battered and shattered, shattered and scattered, scattered and battered.
I'm Mobile Madala from the UT City campus. I'm a poet.
So we're talking about quantity. I don't have one single poem book. And how many do you have?
Let's see, round about 4.
Yep.
No, actually, I'm on my 4th too, choir, okay? Thing is, like, as you do your whole thing, the whole writing thing, you get inspiration and you draw from different perspectives. And as you write, you kind of grow, but at the same time, when you go back to your book, you kind of realize, that wasn't dope at all. And at that point, you kind of realize how you have grown as a poet.
Yeah. So when did you start writing, and what inspired you to start writing?
Okay, I didn't really start with poetry. I started with storytelling.
Oh yeah?
I think it was writing stories, and I would read it to my mom, and then my grandma passed away.
Yeah.
And my brother started writing a poem. And as a little girl, thought, oh, it's a cool thing, started writing a poem, and my poem was actually a story. So that's how it started. It was in grade 4, I think. And then I wrote that only poem. Then grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, I wrote probably another one, like my second poem. And I thought, wow, it's so cool, and I wrote it. And in grade 8, I started writing, and for like more often than before, like probably 5 poems in 1 year. And then in grade 9, I started writing, and that was my one choir in grade 9. It's like the whole thing from the little ones that I did, the stupid ones, and the whole thing with grade 8 and grade 9 one.
So you say you started storytelling.
Yeah.
Did your grandmother ever tell you any stories?
Yeah. She used to. Oh my gosh, I wouldn't go to sleep without a bedtime story.
You lucky bastard.
Yeah, I mean, she just. The thing that I guess inspired me to start writing is that because every time my grandmother would tell me a story, in the middle of it, I would just fall asleep. So I never got the ending. So I started to create these endings in my head, and then I started writing my own little stories. I even have books. I think, if I can look carefully, I still have those little books. What I did was we'll take a page from 72-page exercise book, take it, fold it in half, and write a whole story, and have this cover book, and it was a story for me. And I used to draw, so I used to have like these whole beautiful cover books, and draw and everything, and then write a story. And funny enough, I wrote it in English and never in Zulu. And I have this down. I have no comments in the English.
So what does poetry mean to you? Your poetry. Your poetry.
Well, I guess to me, my poetry is more like, it's like a story of my life. It's got this power to heal me. Like when I'm sad, it heals my wounds. When I'm happy, it reminds me of my past, my bad. And in a way, it tells a story of where I've came from to where I am. And funny enough, my other poems do tell what's going to happen in the future in my life. So I'm kind of scared when it comes to the death bits, because it always tells me, okay, someone's going to die, and I write about
it's probably going to be a tragedy.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it just freaks me out, because I didn't know it happens until I started noticing it, and all the time. Because this one time my auntie passed away, and I wrote a poem, and it was called A Smile. And it spoke about how we wake up every day and not knowing that someone else has passed away and everything. And it actually told a whole story of my auntie passing away, and I didn't know, and I came back, my auntie had passed away, and they told me exactly the same story. So it freaked me out. Sometimes it tells the future, sometimes it tells the past. And yeah, I guess poetry to me, it's a human soul.
Do you remember the first poem you wrote?
First poem? Bazokhohlisa bazoqambeke bakubize ubizeke kanti cha uchaza ukuthini la ekhaya ngoba cha kuyacaca ukuthi cha ngasacatshana nalasho nangakhona so icela ukuthi ipheke ubhekisise udla yona nakuhla kusasa izokuphila kodwa-ke besingabuye sithini lapha besibetshelile watshelela wamuhle mntakwethu ngathi ugeza ngobisi uthi ugeza ngalo nje kusasa uzobunuka lona nyathela ngabantwana nje kusasa bazobe bekhala emhlane hawukoze uhamba ucambalala nje wena cuncu uhlobonyana isicongo usuyaqhoqhobala nje wena zenzela kakhalela sasizobonisa isicwazi sokusemedlule naye njengonyazi usale wena nesicathu semalithi kodwa-ke hamba nje baba uthuthe phambili lamqinisa seniyinhlengisa kuwo ngazi yozala kulo impilo le anele
These are my favorite ones. Somehow I'm intrigued by our South African prison life and the choices they make, just the way that they live inside. It's like, it's not each man for himself unless you make it that way. It's a brotherhood, but at the same time it's life and death.
You thought about going to prison?
Yeah, many times actually, because people I've lived with have been through a lot in terms of in and out of prison. And some of my friends are inside right now. And
wait, sorry. Can I just ask you this? Do you remember your first poem you wrote?
My first what?
Yeah.
My first what? Sorry?
Your first poem.
Yes, actually I do.
You do?
It actually came out by itself. It wasn't, I didn't actually think about it. Should I recite it?
Yeah, do it, man.
It goes, I thought, but nothing sprung. But I kept thinking of songs my ancestors sung. Their carefree voices shooting through the light blue sky. My childhood joys will never die. Short piece, but I even labeled it my first poem for some reason.
It's fucking dope.
My mind is dim and my heart is cold. My feelings have been shaped into an angry mold. Devilish dares and demonic releases, when will it fall into broken pieces? I shall sweep them up and plant them in my garden, growing a tree of peace and pardon, tranquil under the shaded releases, when life leaves me in broken pieces.
About the time I had to solve this case. So some crap motherfuckers straight invading my space. It was approximately 8:47 p.m. I was on my way home, coming back from the gym. Yo, my muscles kinda ached, they felt rigid and stiff.
I was chilling in the taxi, watching, trees, and I'm just thinking, dog, I'm a mad poet. I could think of anything. And that's what I came up with, I was like, pour a tree with water and let it grow. Pour a tree with water and let it grow. That's where it all started. And that's how, the poetry session started. I saw one poster, one guy who approached the masses saying, hey, I want to open up a poetry session. I was fresh from high school. I was like, damn, this is a good idea. This is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it, And with that, we've done stuff over a whole lot of spots. Got mad business, municipalities, needing items with their speeches to go with. Only problem is they only pay you 3 months after, so it ain't really worth doing, I believe, and I'm telling them too, doing a gig for municipality. A gig, that is. I would love to.
Is that the direction you want your poetry to go?
Ah, dude,
commercial.
I just think commercial.
Yeah.
It is commercial.
It's
sellable. Water is sellable. They sell water. They're gonna sell oxygen too, in your air cons and shit. That's what it's gonna be, though. You're gonna buy that. What I'm gonna do, this is an upcoming show now. Basically, I thought of an album or, an LP, EP, type of thing, where I just have my material in for people to listen to. I went to the studio and thought, hey, I'm too lonely in here. I'm a slam poet, I speak with people. That's my kind of poetry. I'm not the poet, keep a book at home poet. Or I did, because I know it by heart. Not by heart, by heart. That's what I said, And that's what it is. It should be flowing into you. It's a mechanism, though. It flows into you and flows out. And that's what they catch. And yeah, we are allowed to make mistakes. In fact, when freestyles happen, when you make a mistake and come out of it, that's when it really gets exciting. When you think about it properly. That's the same thing with poetry too. It's a mechanism. There's no beat to it, like I said earlier. You can just do your thing. Your instrument is your voice. Wow. And not the beat. Your voice is the instrument. How you contrast your points, how you point out your points, or being articulative too. Because it's just not about sounding nice. That comes later. What's your point? And then I get a beat of it.
So are you a storyteller? Do you tell stories, or you just run for the sake of it?
No, I tell stories.
Oh yeah.
I told a story now. In between a womb and a tomb. I told 2 stories, in fact.
Yeah.
The one about my father. That's a story. And the first one is just me slamming.
Yes.
I'm a slam. The first one and the second one. The 3, 13, 14. 3, 13, 14, what are you searching for? Drug, sex, alcohol? These working for teens. Ever wonder what teens are working for? Wanna flirt? Wanna see sexy women in short skirts? Picture your favorite artist live in concert. Salvation through cell phones. SMS the word scripture. The Holy Spirit is concerned. Selling God's word perverse to convert, pervert God's people and what they used to conserve at first. Who cares if the King James Version made more money than what your aunt earns? Look at the road ahead. Look what the path turns. And that's what it is. Now I forgot it. But either way, if I had to continue, one wouldn't really catch it too. I would have just flipped another poem. And that's what it is, people. You know what I mean? You perform on stage, you know the poem. If it sounds different, remix. You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's poetry. It's not a beat. There's no beat going. You know what I mean? So you space yourself out. It's a conversation with the people. And the rhymes, the metaphors, all the artistic equivalents to it, just make it a profound art itself. And that's how you should work it through. Back in the days, people do or did poetry. You know what I mean? It all started here in Africa with the bass drum, whatever. Then came hip hop. Elevated in the US, you know what I mean? But we've been speaking. When the king showed up, a poet would throw it at him. Doing it in front of thousands and thousands of people. You know what I mean? Yeah. Spoken word. He would urinate and do all sorts of, women would urinate. He would spit some poetry and welcome in the king. That's how it is. Let me just do my shit. With rhymes I excel. I have trees around me, oxygen. It's time to exhale, time to expel. Rhymes, I got enough bars to get you locked in a cell. Got enough blunts to get me asking for bail. I ain't getting locked in a jail. I've got to make more interest than shops with a sale. This new shit will get you shot when it sells. Poetry shit. That's what it is. In between a womb and a tomb is a room for jubilance and booms, the world and its rules. The wilderness fumed with truth and the truth assumed. A baby being born, the umbilical cord is torn, the thought is cut short, small as if a dwarf, born with innocence, nothing done wrong. Baby in mother's arms, crying and hearing the first song, that's for the baby. To the mother, it's the firstborn. 9 months married, the father of the child buried and gone, and so she continues to mourn. The mother, daunted by the task of the newborn, but still gloams. The day breaks away from the night, refraction of a new dawn, admiring his baby's presence all day long. To the baby, the mother's chest as broad as a hall, soft and warm. Typical mother and baby having a bond. Oh, he's not a baby anymore, he's now 4. As the days go on, the relationship becomes stronger than rocks as pubic hair forms. And as he becomes a teenager, relationships are on the rocks. And as he becomes bigger, he now pours liquor on the same rocks. And so he rocks on rock and rolls and falls. He's having a jaw. He's now tall but could never stand tall. His life on the fast lane but not on the right lane. His mother could see that he was on a highway, so she had to put a tall gate now and then so that the speed can be crossed. One day he felt an incredible force that forced and caused him to fall flat on the floor. And a flat on the ground floor, his body saw something that I'd never seen before. A jigsaw of swords caused war. In his thoughts, his body lost. In the dark, he could see death approaching like top fins of a shark in the seashore. His thoughts not local, but abroad. His thoughts not local, but abroad. His thoughts not local, but abroad. Painful like the thought of seeing Christ on the cross. Effects of a deal gone wrong. His mother got a call, but to him it was a call from God. His mother was shocked by the fact that her son was once born, once small, short, became tall. Now his life shot, his life cut short like the umbilical cord when he was born. I'm sorry to take your time, whoever, really, we do want to do our shit, you know. I haven't been here in a while, so shit, you know. Hate me for that. What, 4 or 5 years ago, dog? Shit, it's 4. I'm too far-fetched, anyway. But anyway, I get nervous. And I've been doing it for 4 or 5 years. I get nervous. But Mputra Bufela told me one thing. He said, when you get on stage, the fear, personify, make it a ghost-like image. That when it sits in the crowd, it laughs at you every time. That's how you basically perform to it and look above the crowd. You know what I mean? That's what it is. If you make a mistake, it laughs at you, not the people. The people don't know. They haven't heard it before. I'm not gay. I don't wish to dance with my father. In fact, I would have wished to slap him in the face. The thought of making this page bleed with words so colorful yet vague. I've been a soldier for so long. fighting the same pain, having an AK-47 with no target to aim. I'm in war with myself, I've got nobody to blame. Can't even picture my father, cause I've never seen him in the face, never seen him in a state when life was pale. I've never seen him in the freeway coming to the free state. I've always seen him fail to see me pass all the way. The pain kills me, but then I stay awake. It comes back again, infiltrating a spade through my brain. My mother never told me anything about him, where he stayed. If he was a player, what game did he play? My mother's fear would finally break. She mentions my father for the first time. She's got something to say, something to explain. Couldn't wait. Excitement paints my face. Change my posture, set up straight. I was like a so-called born-again Christian beginning his faith. But wait, before you proceed, please tell me his name. And then I think to myself, what a shame. In the same breath, she tells me that he has just passed away. And then I think to myself, but he never passed my way. I couldn't escape the uselessness of this poem. He's in the grave for heaven's sake and shame, and sane with the ways of life that came his way. Now the only thing left behind for me till this day is his face and shape and 3 faded pictures, his name engraved. Pictures, not framing my pen.
My name is Amana, originally from the Eastern Cape. I'm a poet and I study journalism. My poetry is inspired by mostly my dreams and some things I see whenever I walk around and see something that stirs something within me to write. The main reason why I write is to get my feelings across and everything out. And my inspiration is my dreams and certain things I see around. 90% of the time it's mainly from dreams and my experiences in life. My writing is not for mostly for other people to admire, but for me, self-discovery.
Oh yeah?
That's mainly me and my writing.
So when did you start writing?
I started because I was forced to in grade 7. My teacher saw something in me and then she started forcing me to write stuff for competitions and stuff. And I wasn't fine with that. I won't say I hated it, but I wasn't enjoying it because I was forced to do it. And then when I had family problems, that's when I started writing down everything I felt, sort of angry letters to my parents and stuff. And when I was trying to find my father and all of that, I had this inner turmoil inside and I tried to get it out through writing. And that was about 5-6 years ago.
Can you remember the first poem you wrote?
Yeah. One that I enjoyed was in 2005 when I was in PE. It was about I slept and I dreamt about my cousin's aunt who was chasing me. I don't know why she was chasing me. And she had a big smile on her face, but her whole body expressed anger. It was very confusing. It was called The Dream.
Do you want to recite it?
No. Okay. Street Trapper drove up to the island of Wonder. Boom! There goes thunder. Where am I? Lost in the dark of the night, I wonder. Where am I? I twist and turn to observe what is. Vague shadows of ships wander around like ghosts lost in the belt. So deep in a foremost death cold sleep. Darkness sharp like a mountain that's deep, but yet vague like shades and shadows in the morning mist. Shades and shadows in showers of rain. I try to run to the sun to find my way. I can't cry, nor can I sigh. My mind's so puzzled, too many pieces of the puzzle broken up like drizzling rain. I'm in this island with murmured words, slithering snakes, black clouds covering the sun and start showering. Crack clap shutting off glass and streams of flower like a floods of the Cape in winter. Suddenly this I twist and turn to observe what's left. No more shadows, no more shapes, just the dark of the night. And scheme that pierces the silence at the death of Jesus' heart. And scheme that pierces the silence at the lions are all calling all animals of his kingdom. And I feel like go hand of the children. Open my eyes to realize it was just a dream.
Deep within me lies my emotions, my strengths, and my thoughts that define my spirit. With my soul too cheap for that reality hits, where my true being is judged by other individuals with their own problems. Instead of judging me, they should solve them. No man can make me shine besides me. I want to become the wind and be free, but I need to start deep within me, cause deep within me, my years left become a tale, with stories big as a whale. Many men have followed this train to win in life and lose on fade, with many wanting to see the future before it happens, when they don't see that the future is a deep end. You are betrayed by friends, which leaves me deep within me, cause deep within me, scientists see my nerves, my veins, my cells. As they use their scientific words, to me it rings no bells. Catch me with less answers but more questions. Times I get so hurt I bleed as an expression, with problems going and coming back, a sign of resurrection. But nothing changing deep within me, cause deep within me lies poetry with strive, words in occlusion and rhyme. And as I connect to the people, I come alive. Yeah, my name is Sony, but Sihle Sony to be exact. That's my full name, but I refer myself to Sony because that's what many people call me, Sony. And I'm a slam poet. I like reciting poems with a lot of excitement, and I love reciting poems with which entertain people. Yeah.
So Sony, what are you doing here? A video tag?
Yeah, video technology. You know, I'm doing my vision mixing here.
Yeah.
And yeah.
In terms of expression in relation to your poetry, how does this fit in?
Well, I can say that I can compare it as in poetry. I have a passion to reach out to the people.
Yeah.
So with video tech, it's basically showcasing something which is visual to the people. So with me, poetry, I can express it by the people hearing me and sometimes visually. So one day I would like to also record other poets, and you know what I mean.
Do your thing, man.
Yeah, do my thing.
So let me ask you this. What does your poetry mean to you?
My poetry is my life.
Yeah.
Because my poetry is basically on what experiences I've had in the past. Like if my girlfriend broke up with me, I know that today I can write a poem which can change my views on what I thought back then. Maybe I was mad about the decision that my girlfriend took, but at the end of the day I realized that maybe it was me or maybe it was her.
So it's a form of reflection.
Yeah, a form of reflection.
Alright, that's very cool.
Thanks.
So what do you think about the poetry session on Fridays?
The Steve Biko.
Yeah.
Oh man, I think the poetry sessions at Steve Biko, you know, it's a great way of communicating in terms of poetry concern, because what you normally get is in South Africa, some people they cannot express themselves in other forms of ways, you know.
Yeah.
Like if I had to fight with someone, I would fight with them through a pen. But if you had if other guy who was not artistic, they would use their
fist.
You know,
so you're a writer, not a fighter.
Yeah, I'm a writer, not a fighter. Nice.
Step into the realm, you're bound to get.
I don't force my pen to write. My pen forces me to write.
Oh yeah.
It's just a way of expressing myself to myself.
So do I think I qualify as a poet? Yeah, I think I do.
And right now I'm reading National Geographic's Nostradamus Effect.
Whoa.
The 10-year prophecy.
It's a movement. That's how it is. You
Yeah.
gotta move it. Show where you take it, because that's how they're gonna take it. You know?